Polar bears are awe-inspiring creatures. They can be quite dangerous, but they fulfill their niche in the Arctic ecosystem quite well. Their biology and behavior are custom-built for the frigid ecosystem they have inhabited for thousands of generations. Their seasonal eating habits in particular have served them well in the past, but are now facing challenges. During the winter months when sea ice is extensive, polar bears primarily hunt seals, which are rich in fat, providing the polar bears with the necessary energy to survive the harsh Arctic winter. During the summer and early fall, when sea ice retreats, polar bears face a period known as the ice-free or fasting season. With limited access to seals, they may scavenge for carcasses, forage for berries and other vegetation, or hunt smaller terrestrial mammals if possible. However, these alternative food sources are typically insufficient to sustain their energy requirements, leading to a period of fasting and reduced activity for many polar bears until the sea ice returns. The problem is, these warm periods are getting a lot longer. A recent study in the Journal of Nature Communications suggests that these extended periods stranded on land now pose significant risks of starvation for polar bears. Over 3 summer weeks, scientists closely monitored 20 polar bears as they employed various strategies to conserve energy, such as resting, scavenging, and foraging. Despite their efforts, the bears experienced rapid weight loss, averaging around 1 kilogram or 2.2 pounds per day. While some speculated that polar bears might adapt to longer ice-free seasons by emulating their grizzly bear counterparts, resting or consuming terrestrial food, the study found limited success with these approaches. Unlike grizzly bears, polar bears, which are typically much larger, rely heavily on energy-rich seal fat obtained through ice hunting to sustain their massive size. Neither strategy will allow polar bears to exist on land beyond a certain amount of time. Even those bears that were foraging lost body weight at the same rate as those that laid down, said Charles Robbins, director of the Washington State University Bear Center and co-author of the study. Polar bears are not grizzly bears wearing white coats. They're very, very different. Researchers utilized collars equipped with video cameras and GPS to track polar bears in the western Hudson Bay region of Manitoba, Canada, during their summer stay on land. This allowed them to observe the bears' behaviors and energy expenditure, shedding light on their challenges when seal prey is inaccessible. Among the observed bears, only one managed to gain weight after discovering a dead marine mammal on land, highlighting the difficulties polar bears face in finding sufficient food sources when stranded ashore. Several adult male polar bears opted to conserve energy by adopting a sedentary approach, resembling the energy expenditure rates akin to hibernation. Conversely, others engaged in active food-seeking behavior, consuming scavenged bird and caribou carcasses alongside berries, kelp, and grasses. The researchers noted a striking 5-fold range in energy expenditure among adult males, from those predominantly resting up to 98% of the time to the most industrious ones traveling a staggering 330 kilometers or 205 miles. Meanwhile, certain adult females dedicated up to 40% of their time to foraging activities. However, despite the varied efforts, the outcomes proved disappointing. This study focused on the southernmost area of the polar bear range in the western Hudson Bay, where the current warming pattern is particularly pronounced, leading to a faster decline in bear populations. As polar bears are forced on land earlier, it cuts into the period that they normally acquire the majority of the energy they need to survive, said Anthony Pagano, research wildlife biologist with the U.S. Geological Survey Polar Bear Research Program and former WSU postdoctoral researcher. With increased land use, the expectation is that we'll likely see increases in starvation, particularly with adolescents and females with cubs. With the ongoing increase in ice-free periods, polar bears across the Arctic are at heightened risk of starvation, underscoring the urgent need for conservation efforts to mitigate the impacts of changing temperatures on these iconic creatures. Don't stop here. Find out more. Visit the links in the description below for more in-depth information on the stories presented in this video.